My daddy told me a story when I was younger. And I want to let y'all know that my dad committed suicide 6 years ago in this house right here that I'm staying in. He committed suicide on October 28th or 29th, I think. It's one of those. I have to look at it again. It's been 6 years ago. I do know that. But this is something that he left behind. Was this I guess walking stick. It's kind of like a vine or something. I don't know if you can really make it out. But he used to tell me a story when I was younger. And I have to say that he was one of the best storytellers that I've known in my entire life. That's for sure. Um, I don't know if that's perhaps something that comes from just being younger and not knowing a lot about narration or storytelling. I don't know. But to me, in my heart, he was always one of the best storytellers. So tonight, I would like to share a story that he told me when I was young. And this story here is about when he was on Forbes Road in Gastonia, North Carolina. So here, there's a little history for you. So um, he had a family, siblings, probably about, I'm going to say 7 or 8 siblings. I'm not really sure right now. I can't count all of them right now. Some of them are deceased. I'm sure it's about 7 or 8 siblings. So they moved in this really big house. I guess it's probably like a 2-story house back then. On Forbes Road in Gastonia, North Kakalaki. And they had just moved in this house. And they had one room that they shut off. And they called it the Shuttered Room. And there was a movie back in the 70s called The Shuttered Room. But what my dad told me was they would have to actually go out and draw water from the well. So they would do that. And every night, one of the siblings had a turn to go get this water, to go draw the water, whatever. And they would have to pass that shuttered room, and they would always see a set of eyes staring at them from that shuttered room. And they didn't know, seriously, they did not know where these eyes were coming from. And he went on to tell me a lot of different stories about this house. But tonight, the story that I want to tell you about has to do with this here walking stick. So, from what I understand, and I could have some details mixed up, but I'm going to tell this story the way that I would like for you to hear it. But I'm going to use, I guess you could say, the best of my recollection from my dad telling me this story. So it goes a little something like this. So my dad was a teenager when they moved into this house on Forbes Road in Gastonia, North Carolina. And I'm guessing this was sometime back in the 1960s, gauging from his age when he passed away. And so he slept in the same room with one of his brothers, and I'm going to say that that was my Uncle Roger. Okay? So, he said sometimes when they were sleeping in the room, um, he knew that his Uncle Roger didn't snore, but he would always hear somebody else snoring in that room. He could never ever figure out who that was. Um, yeah, I know that's real spooky, right? But um, I think he had a relative who might have lived in that house prior to them moving in, and he had a walking stick such as this. And we'll just say that was Uncle Craig. Okay, we'll say it was Uncle Craig. They did actually have an Uncle Craig, and I'm not sure if this is the same Uncle Craig, but we'll just say it's Uncle Craig. So, uh, my dad and my Uncle Roger slept upstairs at this house, and so Uncle Craig had passed away a couple months ago, and so one morning they were sleeping in, right? They were sleeping in, and my dad said that he heard the sound. Well, that sounds like Uncle Craig's walking stick. And my dad was like shivering underneath those covers, just like, I think he even tried to wake my Uncle Roger up. He was like, you gotta, hey, didn't Uncle Craig pass away like, 2 months ago? What's going on? And all of a sudden, they said, Kane stopped. They could hear the door opening. Could hear it. Whatever the sound it makes. Okay, whatever. And you hear that cane. And they're both shivering underneath those covers, underneath those sheets. And my dad's just like, what the fuck do I do, man? What do I do, man? It stops all of a sudden. My dad thinks, well, good, maybe he went away. And boom! He said a cane or something hit that bed, and he probably jumped about 6 feet in the air, okay? He jumped about 6 feet in the air, and I don't know, I can't remember if he said he looked or not, but anyway, the thing is, that was a visitation from his Uncle Craig, okay? And he told me this story and he used to tell this story to me and my sister. Used to scare the shit out of us. And I'm sure it didn't work. I'm sure it didn't scare any of you. But the main purpose of me telling this story was just to pass down some old folk tales or whatever, or family stories, And well, I hope y'all enjoyed it. That's pretty much. My dad left behind a lot of cassettes and stuff, telling stories. Sometime I think I need to dig some of that stuff out, and I think it would. I think we're kind of missing that in today's culture. People don't tell stories anymore. They don't tell they don't pass on anything anymore because there's so much technology out there. And the true pagans, or pagan is actually derived from or means country dweller. The true pagans always pass down stories. They have lots of stories. And I think that is sorely missing in today's society. The way things are going today, basically. So I hope that y'all have enjoyed this video somehow. I know I've talked a lot. I'm starting to want to put out more of these kind of videos because I feel like this information needs to be passed on somehow. And the way my dad passed away, the way he passed away was very tragic. And I feel like his stories need to live on, And if I can find any more stories, and I know he has them somewhere here, where he's perhaps told them on cassette, or he has written them down in a notebook, that I would like to share them with y'all. Because I feel like these are things that need to be shared, And they don't need to be lost forever in some notebook collecting dust in the middle of, wherever. The South in America or whatever. So, hope y'all enjoyed this video. Cheers.